Okay, class. Somebody asked me about a confidence interval problem, and I thought I could walk through it. If I'm going to answer her, I might as well put it out there for you guys too. So, anyway, let's look at this. Is going to be the second problem in your practice set on 6 through 8. And I hope you can read that. Like, is that focusing in there? Okay. So it says, this is question number 2. It says, in a survey of 3,027 adults, 1,458 say they've started paying bills online in the last year. Construct a 99% confidence interval for the population proportion, right, and interpret the results. All right, so let's do that. I did the math here. So first of all, we know it's a proportion. It's not a mean, X bar, right? And the statistic from your sample is these are the successes that pay the bill online out of the 3,027, and that gives you 0.4817, so about half. And I'm going to just round that to 0.482. It asks for 3 decimal places. All right, so I'm going to use that 0.482. So what's the confidence interval? All right, as you remember from the sampling distribution, this is a z, right? The true population parameter there's 95% chance that it's going to be 2 standard deviations from the mean. All right, so like if I take a sample, it's got 95% chance to be this far. This distance here is e. All right, so it's the margin of error. And this is like, okay, for 95%, ZC would be 2. For 99.7, ZC would be 3. But in this case, it's just 99. It's not 99.7, it's 99. And you get that from your calculator, your stat calculator normal, because it's, it's a normal distribution with the proportions. And that comes out to be, for 99, it's 2.576, right? So Z corresponds to 2.576. And the standard, so this is 2.576 standard deviations. Well, what's the standard deviation? It's this, right? P hat Q hat over N. That's the formula. So if you put that in there, 0.48 times 0.52 divided by N, you get this, all right? And then, so this is the margin of error, all right? How many standard deviations is this? Does he see how many do I need for 99? And then what is the standard deviation? It's that, and that's my distance here. So this distance is 0.0232, right? So I have to add it that way and add it that way, and then these result, that's my confidence interval. So that's what I did. Now I wanted to show you this because I actually got, when I added it, I got a 9 here, and the right answer is an 8. So if that happens to you, you can tell me, write down, keep your notes together, and, say that's what I got. And I'll give you credit for that. It might even give you credit for that. I don't know. But that's how you do the problem. You have to find your ZC. This E, remember, for the first, for means with sigma known, was ZC times sigma over square root of N. The second one was TC times S over square root of N. So that's what you're going to add to your test statistic. I shouldn't say test statistic, that's just the statistic from the sample. And you add these E's on either side, and that gives you your answer. And for the last case where you're looking at the standard deviation or variance, it's just that formula. I did one of those in class, and I think that exact problem is on the test. So there's another way to do that. Let me show you. I'm going to change this to laptop. Let's see if this works. All right. I didn't really show you this. You can use this method if you want to, even though I don't really prefer it. So we know we're down in proportion stats. One sample with summary. All right, and the number of successes was 1458. The number of observations was 3027. And we're going to do a confidence interval instead of the hypothesis test, all right? And compute. Oh, and let me do something here. Show critical value. All right, so the critical value is, that's the 2.576, that I had there. And there's your confidence interval right there, right? The lower limit and upper limit. And so that's another way you can do it, okay? You can either way, I guess, either way, as long as you kind of understand what's going on here. How do you get the 2.576? I mean, if you remember, stat calculator, this is normal because it's a proportion, and you need it to be a 99, so if you put 99 here, 0.99. All right, so there is your ZC, right? If you put 9.5, it's 1.96. 0.90 is another one that's common. 0.1645. So let me see here. So anyway, I know it's late, but if you're up for it, you want to improve your grade, like go back and review these, look at your notes, try to do all those problems and do your best, and that's all you can do, right? Do your best. I'll see you tomorrow.